The all-new 22 Civic, now on sale at Team Honda on Siegen Lane.
No one can stop me when I taste the feeling. Nothing could ever bring me down. Nothing could ever bring me down. Taste the feeling.
They said I could find you here. Why are you fishing? Our company's got to ship out 2 full color brochures and 20 color copies. You're killing me.
It's done. Designed, printed, packaged, and shipped.
How?
You just got to know the right people. Baker Printing, the printing people.
How come you get to fish in this private lake?
Like I said, you just got to know the right people. You can know the right people too.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Hello and welcome as we start today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show. Here's hoping that your weekend was an absolutely wonderful one. If not, well, as we say each and every Tuesday, right about this time of the day, good Lord willing, you will still be here when the next one rolls our way, and you'll have the opportunity to try it all over again. We start today's show with Louisiana news. Governor John Bel Edwards is expected to hold another press briefing this afternoon at 3 o'clock to discuss our state's response to the COVID pandemic. The governor's office says at 3 p.m. this afternoon, he will discuss whether or not to extend the state's mask mandate. As you may or may not know, it is scheduled to expire tomorrow, October 27th, Wednesday. Whether or not the governor sees fit to do so, only time will tell. I guess the good news is we don't have to wait long to find out, 3 o'clock this afternoon. Personally, if the governor were to make his way around everyday Louisiana communities, I think he would find that the mask mandate has pretty much run its course. Everywhere I go, watching individuals, they are not abiding by this mandate. Whether or not the governor takes note of the decrease in numbers in our state and the fact that it's pretty much unenforceable at this point, only time will tell. Again, the good news is that we all will not have to wait long to find out. Speaking of things that are not working, the murder rate in the capital city, and particularly the domestic violence homicides, have reached alarming proportions in the capital city of the state of Louisiana. This weekend, in a 48-hour time frame, 5 murders total. 2 were homicide suicides. The other was just a plain homicide. The violence began Friday night, where a murder-suicide took place. Overnight, a single homicide involving a female shooting her live-in boyfriend. And the numbers just continue to skyrocket. To give you a little context, last year, the capital city logged 19 domestic violence deaths. That was a record, by the way, 19. This year, so far, with 2 months and change remaining in the year, we're already at 33. We are running the risk of doubling last year's record number for domestic violence homicides. It is something that says a lot about our society. And I will be brutally honest with you. We are extremely fortunate that the number was not much higher. And here's what I mean. This past weekend, Southern University celebrating homecoming, there were 2 shootings within 4 blocks of campus. One of them made the news, 2 individuals injured. The other, as happenstance would have it, I ended up finding myself in the middle of. 7:30 in the evening, I decide to run to the store to get a couple of items that I should have gotten earlier. Knowing traffic, knowing the foot traffic, people going to and from the games, I took a back road to a little local convenience store. As I'm leaving, attempting to pull out of the parking lot, shot after shot after shot after shot after shot. I counted somewhere around 10 to 12 shots. And of course, as these things work, when the firing started, everyone starts running. But by the grace of God, I didn't run over 3 people who ran around my vehicle and directly in front of the vehicle. So obviously, pedestrians always have the right of way. I stopped. And when I stopped, I just happened to look up maybe 15 feet away from me. I see a young man, and you can tell by the stature of a person pretty much what age range they're in. Young man had to be around 14, 15, 16 years old. Ski mask on his face. Just as I look at him in his face, he pulls out a gun and starts shooting. Now, if you've never been in a situation, a life or death situation, you may not understand the authenticity of descriptions of people who've been there and done that when they tell you time slows down to a crawl. As I'm sitting there, attempting to duck down, hoping none of these errant shots come flying through my vehicle, as I'm sitting there looking at this young man in his face, and y'all forgive me, I can't say it any other way. It's the truth. It is what it is. I said to myself in that moment, if he turns in my direction with that pistol, they are going to have to pick pieces of him out of my grill and off my undercarriage, because I'm going to run flat over this clown. I'm going to put an end to this right here. God knows it is the last thing on earth that I would want to have to do. But in an instance like that, the self-preservation mode kicks in. If you've never been there and done that, you may not understand it. But I thought to myself, how utterly selfish could these individuals be? Hundreds of people around. God only knows, you pull out a weapon, start firing into the crowd, you don't know who you're going to hit. Somebody's baby, your neighbor, your loved one, your friend. And these clowns were firing away as though it was just a normal thing to do. You know, it saddened me that a time that is supposed to be celebratory, a time where we should be celebrating all that's good about the institutions of education, opportunities for individuals to better themselves, to become responsible, productive members of society. And these individuals went to a celebration of this sort, having made a conscious decision to go there armed. Not just armed, but then to open fire on a crowd. You know, I've said it God knows how many times. And as an individual blessed with a platform, I'm obligated to continue to say it until we do better. But at the end of the day, y'all, we don't have to worry about the Klan. We don't have to worry, despite what CNN LOL will tell you about those white supremacists. We're doing a damn good job all by ourselves of killing ourselves at a freaking homecoming celebration. Of all things, you have nothing better to do than to pack a pistol and then randomly open fire. Parents, we better get a handle on this, because again, God knows I would hate more so than anything on the planet to take somebody's life. But in that moment, when these selfish individuals saw fit to usher in chaos, to attempt to take other people's lives, when it came down to it, bottom line was, better him than me. I'm out here minding my own business. I'm not shooting at anybody. I'm not endangering anybody. And when it comes down to it, better you than me. Pure and simple. Parents, you better get a handle on your kids. Because at the end of the day, if you don't, society will. And it will be a whole lot tougher when society deals with your children than what you're doing right now. Just saying. There but by the grace of God, our homicide total was not staggeringly higher than what it could have been. Just saying. Just saying. First break of today's show. It is, of course, Tuesday, second segment coming up. That means it's time for another edition of Now That's Just Stupid. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
I'm self-employed and didn't report all my income. They claim I owe a lot more than I do.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
Tax Solutions Now saved my business.
I qualified for the Fresh Start program. I paid less than I owed.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions now.
Call 800-778-4345. 800-778-4345. Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystoneCountryClub.com.
Go where summer leads you in an award-winning Mazda CUV. Find yours during Mazda's season of discovery.
Call, click, or come by and discover your new Mazda today at Baton Rouge's Mazda dealer, Team Mazda on Airline.
Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent. Depend on us for service, for selection, for price. Get huge Whirlpool savings. Shop now and save on Whirlpool appliances throughout the store. Plus, experience our price match guarantee and ask about special financing. You can depend on the know-how of people who live appliances every day. Bolello's Furniture and Appliances, your dependable independent with nationwide buying power.
Hi, I'm Bobby Yarborough with Mandafine Meats. Here at Manda, we know what the folks of South Louisiana love. They love great flavored smoked sausage, delicious deli meats, and specialty items like boudin and andouille sausage. Mandafine Meats has been providing these products since 1947. We produce them right here in Baton Rouge, so you know you're always getting the freshest product at your local grocery store. Mandafine Meats. Taste the fresh local flavor in everything we make. Make it Manda every time.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Bud Show. If you're new to the show, you may not be aware that in response to the ever-expanding, rapidly growing level of stupidity in our country, we have ushered in a new segment. It is entitled, Now That's Just Stupid. But you'll notice the spelling here is not the traditional S-T-U-P-I-D. That would be run-of-the-mill, garden variety, everyday stupid. What we're talking about here is head and shoulders above, S-T-U-P-I-D, hence the spelling S-T-O-O-P-I-D, as in, now that's just stupid. We start, surprise, surprise, with the White House. I don't know how many of you saw the hilariously scary Joe Biden town hall last week on CNN LOL. Even the Wall Street Journal and CNN now admitting there might be something wrong with Joe Biden, meaning his mental faculties. Well, it only took him, about a year to figure that out, but I digress. During the town hall, for those of us that had really awesome parents, when something happened and we were involved in it, our parents would come to us in what I call the come to Jesus moment, where they would ask, did you fill in the blank with whatever the situation was? The really awesome parents, when they would ask you the question, did you fill in the blank, they would tell you, now before you answer, think about your answer. Because what is going to happen next will be largely dependent upon how you answer the question. In other words, don't make it worse by answering this question with something stupid, okay? Don't make yourself look even worse than you do right now by coming up with a totally stupid answer. Enter Joe Biden. In the town hall, a question was asked about the border, our southern border. When are you going to go? And of course, he hemmed and hawed, said, well, I've been to the border, but I haven't been, meaning he drove past the border about 13 years ago during a campaign stop. He just happened to be close to the border. But then he says, well, my wife, Jill, has been. She knows all about the border. And of course, he offers another couple of explanations, and then it happens. Then he says, to sum it all up, I haven't had time to go to the border. Interesting. You haven't had time to go and see what's really happening at our southern border. So CNN, LOL, did a little digging. And they found out President Joe Biden has spent significantly more time away from the White House than any president in recent memory. When CNN started digging from that date, they found out President Biden has taken 35 personal trips to either Delaware or Camp David, encompassing, get this, the guy's been in office 276 days. You know how many trips and days he's been away on weekends from the White House? 108 days out of 276. But he hasn't had time to go to the border. Now, technically, I might have to give him a little slack, and here's what I mean. You've been so busy screwing up other stuff, you hadn't had time to get to the border. You've been so busy trying to take jobs and rights away from law-abiding American citizens because they won't take the jab that you said you didn't trust. You've been so busy screwing up the withdrawal from Afghanistan. You were so busy screwing up the supply chain crisis. You've been so busy screwing up dealing with inflation. You've been so busy screwing up the response to the ever-escalating crime problem all across America. In hindsight, you might be right. You didn't have time to get to the border because you've been too busy screwing up other stuff. I haven't had time to go. Well, maybe you could have found time in that 108 days you've been back home on long weekends. Maybe you could have found the time then. Of course, now, if you do that, then that means what? You're going to have to answer some questions. And we all know how that works, right? We all know the leader of the freaking free world doesn't hold impromptu press conferences and let the voice of the people, allegedly, the media, ask you questions off the cuff. If you go, then you're going to have to talk about it. And we all know how that works. Meanwhile, speaking of stupid, we now find out that after the Biden-Harris administration went out of their way to stop the funding and building of a border wall, we now find out the Department of Homeland Security last week announcing that they are spending $460,000 of your tax dollars to build a wall around, wait for it, Joe Biden's beach house. So let me get this straight. The citizens of this country don't deserve, don't need, shouldn't have a wall along our southern border to keep people out that have no right to come in. We don't deserve that. We don't need that, and you sure as hell not going to pay for it, but $460,000 of your taxpayer dollars are going to build a wall around Joe Biden's beach house. Can you say one set of rules for thee and another set of rules for me? We don't, that's not being inclusive. We can't have no wall. We can't keep people out. Well, you got a wall around your beach house, and guess who gets to pay for it? $460,000. Now listen, y'all, don't get it twisted. In the grand scheme of things, when you are talking trillions of dollars in debt, I get it. $500,000 is not a whole lot of money. But it's the freaking principle of the thing. You ever notice how liberals / progressives, how they love to tell you one thing and then they do something else entirely different, especially when it comes to having you fit the bill for it. If you're going to foot the bill, oh, well, yeah, we can preach to you all day long about what should and should not be done. If it's their money, oh, well, now, Houston, we got a problem now. You see how they play us? Well, how they play you? You see it, huh? One of the first orders of business, we got to shut this wall down. We don't need no wall. And then you turn around and spend right at $500,000 of my fellow Americans' tax dollars to build a wall around your freaking beach house. It might be funny if it weren't so sad. Well, actually, if it weren't so stupid. Bottom of the hour break. We'll get her done. Come back and, speaking of the border, tell you something that you probably didn't know. If you are still, bless your little old silly heart, worshiping at the altar of the mainstream media. That's next when we continue today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
Got termites? Get Premier Pest. PremierPestServices.com.
Hi, I am Dr. Farrell Frugier Jr., and I am a general dentist at Frugier Family Dentistry. I was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I went to Catholic High School, LSU, and LSU School of Dentistry in New Orleans, where I received my DDS degree in 1986. I always have and will continue to be committed to continuing my education, to invest in technology which makes the diagnosis and delivery of dentistry more thorough, more comfortable, and more aesthetically pleasing. In our practice, we are here to serve the patients. We want to improve their quality of life and to develop relationships with our patients. In dentistry, we have a chance to impact lives on a daily basis, not just by doing dentistry, but by getting to know them and being a part of their life. We also believe in giving back to our community. So every year, we give back to the Greater Baton Rouge Food Bank, Toys for Tots, and Mary Bird Perkins Cancer Center. Please stop by and visit our office. We would love to take care of you and your family.
Hi, I'm Hurricane Betsy Barnes.
And I'm Dr. Kay Siller with The Rocket Right Show.
We are two busy blondes on the go showing off life in Louisiana.
Watch us on Pelican Sports Network.
And Talk 107.3 FM. Check local listings for times.
Hello guys, it's Debbie. It's time. I've got a brand new location. 10510 Airline Highway, Baton Rouge, next to After 5 Tuxedos. We have the perfect spot to get all your wedding and formal wear needs. Come see our one-of-a-kind name brand and get great prices. With 30 years experience, the best customer service anywhere. It's Debbie's Bridal, Airline Highway, Baton Rouge. See you soon.
Caught spiders. Premier Pest Services.
Welcome back to today's edition of the Clarence Buzz Show. Marty, just a tad more, if you would. Thank you, Al. You the man, brother. You the man. You know just how to, just like that, and it's done. That's why I love you, brother. That's why I love you. We talked earlier today about my president, and yes, he is my president because I'm an American, so Joe Biden is my president. We talked about how he made himself look, even by Joe Biden's standards, incompetent by claiming he hadn't had time to go to the border. Yeah, I think it's important, but I've been so busy, I just hadn't had time to go. And of course, the border czar, Kamala Harris, has only made one trip, and we all know why she went, even though she was 780 miles away from where the action is happening. We all know she only went because Donald Trump said he was going. So all of a sudden she pops up at the border so that Donald Trump didn't beat this current administration to see firsthand what's happening at the border. Recently, 15,000 Haitians congregated at our southern border and magically disappeared, just vanished. Now, we all know what happened. They, in the dead of night, shipped these folks out all across the country. Problem solved, right? You look under the bridge in El Paso, nobody's there, no litter, no nothing, problem solved. Well, not exactly. There is, right now, heading toward this country what Latino television has now dubbed the mother of all caravans. It is estimated, y'all, right now, heading north through Mexico is a caravan of 95,000 people marching to enter this country illegally. Some are of the opinion that by the time they get here, the numbers will exceed 230,000 people. Right now in the caravan, it's estimated to be 95,000 people. Now, you will hear the mainstream media, in an effort to run cover for the White House, the Biden-Harris administration, they're going to tell you, well, these people are, they're just coming for a better life, and they are, they're really peaceful, and they're just, trying to get a part of the American dream. Well, interestingly, the activist who has organized this mother of all caravans, Ireneo Mujica from Pueblo Sin Fronteras, the organizer, he's already issuing threats saying, quote, to the effect that we're ready for war for anyone who tries to stop them. Only got one part right. It is a war, because in a war you invade other countries. Typically, somebody tries to invade another. And this is what we're seeing here. Now, the officials in Mexico have attempted to stop this 95,000 person caravan, but they're not equipped to do that. Only time will tell how long it's going to take them to reach our southern border. But they've already said, this is where we're going. Now, it's really going to be interesting to see how the Biden-Harris administration deals with this latest incursion. Well, invasion would probably be more appropriate on our southern border. We saw what they did with the 15,000 Haitians. So a thinking person would figure they're probably going to try to do the same thing this time around. At the end of the day, I wish I knew how we got started down a road where individuals allegedly representing America's interest, our elected leaders, started caring a hell of a lot more about people who aren't citizens of this country than those who are. We as Americans have a right to have our borders secure. We as Americans have a right to know the people we let into this country are going to assimilate, are holders of a criminal-free background, and we have the right as Americans to be protected from folks that are coming here with nothing but ill intentions. And yet, we have an administration that is not doing jack squat about securing our border. I don't know about you, but I understand that as a nation of laws, the immigration system could be streamlined. It could be reconstructed to operate more efficiently. But at the end of the day, there is still a process. At the end of the day, there are still laws you have to abide by. And in essence, what this administration is doing is encouraging illegal behavior. But I guess they're too busy cracking down on school board meetings, DOJ. They're too busy labeling parents concerned about what their children are being taught in freaking public schools as domestic terrorists. They're too busy trying to demand that if you want a job, you have to take the shot. They're too busy for that to ensure the rights of hardworking, everyday, decent Americans. Of course, now, if you're like me and you've watched Democrat/liberal/progressives for any amount of time, you already know what they're all about. You don't have to be Einstein to figure this one out. It's really going to be interesting to watch the spin that the White House is going to put on this. See, now, this is also, however, my fellow Americans, in large part, our fault. We didn't raise holy hell when 15,000 people here illegally in the dead of night were shipped all across the country. We didn't raise holy hell when the government, and to show you how Democrats work, isn't it amazing, ironic, telling? Not so long ago, when they were really riding the COVID fear train, not so long ago, first responders, frontline healthcare workers, oh, they couldn't stop saying enough nice stuff about them. Oh, these are heroes. This is the epitome of what mankind is all about. Now, all of a sudden, because they won't take the shot, the government wants to fire them, wants to take away their civil rights, civil liberties, wants to take away their jobs. Funny how that works. You can be the hero 1 minute for liberals as long as you do what they say. But the minute you don't, kick it to the curb, hoss. Kick it to the curb. You would think y'all would have figured that out by now. How many times have you seen it? Over and over and over and over again. And yet, a lot of y'all gonna still vote Democrat. You know the old saying, you get the government you pay for. Or in this case, you get the government you voted for. Unless, of course, Dominion is involved. Then that might be a different show for a different day. Just saying. Final break of today's show. We'll get her done. We'll come back, put that big old pretty bow on this puppy, and wrap up today's edition of the Clarence Bug Show, only on the Pelican. Stay close.
You can't smell it, but you can almost taste it. And whether it's for a family get-together or a game day feast, having Manda in the mix always sounds good. For 3 generations, their quality meats and original seasonings have made Manda a Louisiana legend and made their family sausage Louisiana's family sausage. Mandafine Meats, the flavor says it all.
Live and play on the fairway at Greystone Golf and Country Club, a serene, challenging golf destination located in Denham Springs. For tee times and membership opportunities, go to GreystonecountryClub.com.
Tremonti's has meat. Tremonti's has seafood. Tremonti's has much more. Tailgating and home gating platters. Huge wine and liquor selection. Beer and all the spices you need. Chairman Reserve and Wagyu meats. Ribeye rolls, shrimp rolls, kebabs. 20 flavors of sausage for the grill. Daily lunch specials and game processing. On-site catering also available. Good meat ain't cheap and cheap meat ain't good. Visit Tremontes.com.
Sometimes life is wonderful, and sometimes it's not. Cherish the good, but always be prepared for life's challenges. At Private Healthcare, we provide the peace of mind you deserve. With Private Healthcare, you'll get the coverage you want and healthcare you need. If your employer doesn't supply healthcare coverage and you don't qualify for Medicare or Medicaid, you need to give us a call right now. Private Healthcare is private health insurance for ages 65 and under with medical, dental, vision, and even prescription coverage. When life comes at you unexpectedly, you need to be ready. And health insurance is your financial safety net. Health insurance has never been so easy and affordable. If you're looking for health coverage at the best price and your annual household income is $35,000 or more, call the number on the screen now and speak with a live healthcare consultant. Don't wait. Get the coverage you need now.
Clarence Show. This last segment, I want to talk about tone deafness. For those of you that at some point during your middle school, high school, college years, you either played an instrument or sung in a choir, you at some point encountered, in all likelihood, an individual that's tone deaf. I have a dear friend, mind you. I often refer to him as one of my favorite liberals. We grew up together. This guy couldn't carry a tune if I put it in a bucket and strapped it to his hand. You probably got a friend like that. You hear your favorite song, and they just insist on singing the song, loudly, I might add, and completely out of tune. And you find yourself asking yourself, don't they realize how out of tune they are? Can't they hear that they are ruining the song because they're completely tone deaf? I mentioned earlier to you how the current administration, the Biden-Harris administration, is so tone deaf to the things that everyday Americans are concerned about that it's frightening. I mentioned to you how they dug a hole even deeper when a question was posed about the border, and Joe Biden said, well, at the end of the day, I hadn't had enough time to go to the border, even though, we know that's a flat-out lie. Out of 276 days, you've taken weekends off 35 times, 35 trips for 108 days that you've checked out of the White House. But what makes it even worse, recently, a reporter asked Jen Psaki, how appropriate is her name? Only name more appropriate might have been Jen Whiskey or Jen Scotch, because apparently this child drinks before she comes and talks to the media some of the answers that she gives. But I digress. Officials with the White House, and Psaki included, were asked recently about the trend that has swept across the entire length and breadth of this country with the "Let's Go Brandon" chant. Now, if you worship at the altar of the mainstream media, you might not know about it. Recently at a NASCAR race, NBC reporter is interviewing Brandon Brown, NASCAR driver. He's all excited about having won. And in the middle of the interview, the crowd starts chanting, and I'll clean it up for you, FJB, as in F. Joe Biden. Loud, clear as a bell, everybody can hear what she's saying, what the crowd is saying. The NBC reporter attempting to run cover, or just plain stupid, says, oh, listen, they're chanting, let's go Brandon. So White House officials now claim, well, we don't know what y'all talking about. What is the let's go Brandon? We don't have any idea what you're talking about. Hundreds of thousands of people at a time, pretty much in every major stadium, nightclub, gathering of any sort, all across the country, let's go Brandon is the chant of the day. Now, Jen Psaki, in attempting to justify the 108 days out of 276 that Joe Biden has been MIA, she attempted to say, well, you know, it's not good for presidents to get, she's got a new word she likes to throw out now, ensconced in D.C., meaning don't stay in the bubble, you got to get outside the bubble so you can find out, you know, other opinions other than the people that'll tell you what they think you want to hear. So in an effort to not become ensconced in D.C., you get out of D.C. for 108 days. And yet, you don't know about Let's Go Brandon? Completely, utterly tone deaf. Now, let's go back for a second to your friend that even if you duct taped a bucket to their hand and put the tune in the bucket, they couldn't carry it. At some point, you ask, don't you know you sound this bad? You have to know. Then again, maybe you don't. If you have no formal music education, then you don't know when two people play a note and it's in sync, it sounds like one. When you start hearing the variance, then you know somebody's out of tune. If you don't have that education, you don't know that. But to claim, well, the reason we, get him out of D.C. is we want him to not become ensconced in D.C. and not know what millions of people are saying, let's go Brandon. That's what happens, y'all, when you have handlers. That's what happens, y'all, when you have the leader of the free world that can't take questions because he'll get in trouble. That's what happens when you have individuals that have screwed up every single challenge they have faced to date. And the only thing worse than being a fool is not knowing you a fool. Hopefully, y'all will know better the next time the polls open, because you got suckered, hoss, hook, line, and sinker. And in case you hadn't figured it out yet, those on the left, what did they tell you? Oh, America's systemic racist. Every problem we got in this country is because of old white men. And who did they get you to vote for? A senile, old white man. You see how they play you? You see how they play you, huh? Now, I don't want to end on a bad note today. So I've got to share something with you. And it fits right in line with the whole tone deaf thing. I discovered something a couple of weeks ago that has This is literally a life-changing experience, y'all. If you played an instrument growing up, if you sang in a choir growing up, if you have a good ear and an appreciation for music, there is something you have got to check out. If you have a sound bar on your television, if you have surround sound in the man cave, living room, whatever, or if you simply have a really good set of headphones to plug into your laptop, check out the Human Jukebox, Leave the Door Open, the tune by Bruno Mars. It's Bruno Mars and Silk and somebody else. This might be the first time I've heard a band play a song, no lyrics, just instrumentation, and I don't even need to hear the original. I don't need to. Why would I? I run the risk of ruining something that is total perfection. Y'all, if you have children that are playing instruments and aspire at some point to march in a band, be a part of whatever group, you got to turn them on to this, y'all. For 41 years, I have made my living with words. It's hard to describe this, y'all. Symphonic, emotional, eclectic, electric, dynamic, amazing instrumentation, syncopation, orchestration. I mean, none of that suffices. Human Jukebox on YouTube. Leave the door open. Don't listen to it just on the TV. It won't do it justice. Get your headphones, plug it in the laptop, turn on the sound bar or the surround sound. You can thank me later. Y'all owe me. Y'all owe me for this one, because your day is going to get a whole lot better the minute you hit play. I dare you to prove me wrong. Time's up, y'all, and I got to go. But this day, maybe more so than any other in history, I give it to you. You know what? You're right. America, we ain't perfect. But for this old boy's money, it's the best there is. And God knows there's no place else on his green earth that I'd rather be. Speaking of the good Lord, you realize he loves you, right? And I hope you know that I do too. Then again, there ain't a doggone thing you can do about either one. See you tomorrow. God bless.